All right, SML. Here we go. We have another mock draft. This one, we're what, 9 and 8, right about 17 days. Or no, it's not the ninth. We're drafting on the second, so we're what, like 12 days away. I think it's getting there. Maybe I don't know, 13, 14 more mock drafts till then, but we're getting close. We got Matt on today, and how's it going, Matt?
I'm good, man. It feels like we've had a few mock drafts. I know you've done a few. I know the Thanos Club did one, but you can never have enough, in my opinion. I love them.
Yeah, I think in another thing is the way that abilities look like they're going to be a little tougher to get the good ones. I think maybe it's going to shake up the draft just a little bit. So we'll see if it does, and we'll start with our mock draft. I'll lead us off with the pick number one. I've got Prime going to the Colts. I don't think there's any mystery here. I know he's smoke screened some different teams. Definitely don't think he's taking the Chargers. I don't think he would take QP's team. Um, I just think after the blip, he went back to the Colts, and then now this year, the Colts are probably as good as they've been since Andrew Luck. So I don't think there's any way he passes on the Colts.
Yeah, I've got him as the Colts too. I mean, I kind of looked at I disagree with you though slightly. I do think he's fighting some inner demons. He got a little taste of the Chiefs last year, and I think he was starting to enjoy himself, and then it ended, and I think he felt like that was a sign to go home. Um, but I do think I don't think he's gonna take the Chargers. I'm with you, but I could see him maybe thinking, oh, let me venture over to the NFC for the first time. But I took this as if I'm a betting man, I got to he's got to take. I'm gonna put him as the Colts.
Yeah.
But I don't think lock. I don't think he's 100%.
Okay. I definitely think this is the best the Colts have been. So if he's gonna take them, this would be the year. All right. So number two, we've got Mike picking, and I've had Mike as the Eagles for every mock draft that we've done so far. I think it's a good fit, but now with the abilities looking like, regardless if you get him early, you're going to get a bad one to start at least. Um, I don't think he wants to try and get a quarterback, and I'm not sure he's sold on Jalen Hurts. So I think he goes with the Ravens. We saw how much he liked running with the worst Trevor, and I think getting Lamar Jackson already has his abilities. Obviously, no escape artists because no one has escape artist. But I think this is the next closest thing, and it's already an established guy, and we'll see who ends up in that AFC North later on.
Yeah, I still have him going Eagles. I know he's kind of been dropping them in the chat all the time. But Mike fell in love with fast quarterbacks who can't throw last year with Trevor
He did.
McDaniel, and I think he's gonna. I think something's calling his name there with Jalen Hurts. Eagles have a ton of picks. They've got a great roster already. They got some trade pieces that you could even grab some more capital. I don't think the Ravens are a bad pick at all because obviously Lamar Jackson gives him that mobile, if he wants to run the QB wraps or the read options, which I think he did enjoy. But I had him going Eagles. Just a little change of scenery there. Mike did say though, if Prime passes on the Colts, he is not taking them. He said he can get them in Primer, so that would be an interesting situation if Prime didn't take the Colts and then Mike didn't either. But I got him going Eagles.
Yeah, if he doesn't take the Colts, I wonder how far they fall because they are one of the. On paper they're probably not one of the best teams, but having Jonathan Taylor with Freight Train, and I think he's got like Jukebox or Spin Cycle. That's you're not going to find those guys in the draft as we've found out. So I could bump them up the list, but I think Prime takes them. All right, number three, we've got Woods, and Woods has been pretty open about his pick at least since before we even finished the cycle of Madden 22 that he wants to go back to Josh Allen, and I have no reason to doubt him. I think he's going to take the Bills.
I'm the same way. My only reason of doubting him is I think he's been trying to talk himself out of the Bills. Going back to back when it's not your favorite team can be a challenge. I think he's done it before, but um, I no gunslinger, no escape artist. I know he was really bummed about that when I told him. He's tried the Commanders. I think he's tried the Ravens, but I think out of all of the people that are probably going to be most affected by this ability discovery that you had, it's Woods. He's made it clear he wants a really good quarterback, and there aren't really any better ones than Josh Allen. I think that's going to push him back.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing for him as quarterback. When I first joined the league, the first two cycles I was here, he couldn't figure out what quarterback he wanted. So having Josh Allen, especially with the abilities, I think that gave him the guy he wanted. And just from what I've seen, if you draft an X Factor quarterback, it's going to be bad. It was like homer, closer, safety valve, none of the good abilities. And it's just going to be, you're not going to want to draft a young X Factor. You're going to want to wait till they get up higher in overall and then maybe dev them.
Yeah, so if you have a good quarterback like a Josh Allen, that's an immediate advantage for you,
Yeah.
for someone like Woods.
Yep. And speaking of that, I've got myself actually taking the Bengals for that reason. I'm still torn between the Bengals and the Jets, but I've never had an elite quarterback in SML. I mean, you've seen developing a quarterback in the SML is tough with a lot of the guys we got slinging the ball, and it sounds like this year it's just going to be bad anyway. So I'm leaning towards the Bengals. Try them out. I just played Dan in the Goat Bowl as the inaugural champion of the Goat Bowl, so I kind of like what Burrow does. You've got Acrobat on Bates, and then you've got Jamar Chase. That offense is really good, and they're young, and then the defense just needs to be kind of replenished as they're getting a little bit older.
Yeah, I flip-flopped. I was Bengals Jets for Bomber. I settled on the Jets. Just it's your first love. For Madden 23, you kind of thought about them before the game came out. You fell in love with them to start. They've got your Ohio State guy and Garrett Wilson. They
Yep.
got Sauce Gardner. So I, I think you're going to go back there, but I know the abilities thing changes, and the Bengals have the big. I'm going to call them the big three. That's who I'm going to call those guys for the entire cycle. The big three:
Oh yeah.
Burrow, Mixon, Chase. They've all got abilities, good abilities. They're young. They're going to be your big three for the entire cycle. The game caters to guys like Higgins, so you'll be able to do well with him. You don't shy away from a guy who's not 95 speed. Got a decent defense, and you're good at building that up. So I could see you going either way, but you fell in love with the Jets first. I think come crunch time, you will navigate towards them, especially if Prime implements some sort of reroll thing for the abilities thing. I think that would obviously push you to the Jets. So a lot to be discovered, but I've got you going Jets.
Yeah, I'm probably leaning Jets. I mean, beating Dan tonight maybe gave the Bengals a little edge, but the Jets do seem like a lot of fun with that young team. All right, so we'll move on to pick 5, and we just did my pick, so we might as well knock out your pick. I've got you taking the Packers. I just think we've talked about the team. I know you said you thought maybe they were too good. That defense is really good, and the offense you can still build them up a little bit. You have Aaron Rodgers for a short amount of time, probably maybe 3 seasons at the most, from what I've seen. But I think that Packers team is going to be really good, and I think you're going to end up taking them.
Yeah, the Packers, they're set up nicely for me with a nice defense. They got two good running backs. The whole Aaron Rodgers being 38 scares me. So I put myself down for the Ravens. I've used them a couple times. They kind of haven't been a team that I've thrown out there much, but I have kind of played with them a little bit. I like that defense. They got two young pass rushers. Of course, the abilities thing might be a little scary because they're both young and they're not superstar. They got good corners, so they got a good user in Queen. They got Kyle Hamilton, the rookie safety. They got the receivers aren't great, but they're star dev. Obviously, Lamar, Dobbins, Andrews. There's a lot of pieces there. I really don't know where I'm going, but the Ravens seem like a fun team, especially if you went Bengals. I enjoyed playing with you pre-blip, so that might entice me. But I don't know where I'm going. There's a lot of teams on the list, but the Ravens are who popped into my head when I was filling this out.
Oh, I like it. All right, so next up we got Finns. This one for me was easy. I've got him taking the Dolphins. I don't I don't think there's any way he goes away from his favorite team. We're talking about 2 of the fastest guys in the game at receiver. Then he's also got 2 first-round picks. It's even without it being the Dolphins, I think it's a team that kind of fits him anyway. And then you add on top of that, it's the Dolphins. I don't think there's any way he passes on them.
I agree. I got him going Dolphins. Every scrim I've seen him in a stream, he's been the Dolphins. I've seen him play numerous people in the league. He's always been the Dolphins. And the thing about the Dolphins, and I've said this as far as me taking them, win or lose, abilities, no abilities, whatever, that's going to be a fun team. You've got Waddle and Hill and Gasecki, and you've got fun pieces on defense with Byron Jones and Acrobat on Howard. You got that young rookie linebacker that you can use that's like 90 speed and 83 change. Like that's going to be a fun team. Even if you lose, just throwing to those speedy guys all the time is going to be fun. So I think it is a Finns team. I think it probably ends up being a Finns division as well. I think he'll enjoy that division because I've got you going there, and a couple other guys I think he'll enjoy. So I got him going, and it's his favorite team, duh. So
Yeah. So speaking of that division, actually I don't have that one filling up just yet. Next is MYT, and he's kind of been all over the place. It started with the Browns, and now he's kind of on this keep pounding Panthers thing. And I think he's going to ultimately go Panthers, especially if I go Bengals. I don't think he's never had a tough division as long as I've been in SML, and I don't think he's going to start now if he's got a choice. So I think the Panthers are where he's going to go.
yeah, you're spot on. If you go Bengals, he's not taking the Browns. I have him as the Browns because I don't have you taking the Bengals. Um, NYT has had a weenie hut division ever since I've been in this league, and I have a hard time believing that's coincidence. I know he's picked above everybody
Yeah.
but I know there was some recruiting into that NFC East pre-blip. He's not going to be afraid of me, but so I'm the only one that's picked. He probably going to get in Dan's ear to see if how he's feeling about the Steelers because I don't think he wants that smoke either. I think, and we'll talk about Dan later, but I think NYT settles in Cleveland. I think that he loves really, really good teams. He said that in chat. I don't work hard to take a bad team. So I think he settles with the Browns.
Yeah, and I mean that makes sense. You get to pick at the top. You might as well pick what's going to be the most fun for you. I
Absolutely.
I got him taking the Panthers. The only thing I worry about with him taking the Panthers is I think he'd rather have a power back over McCaffrey, but I think that Panthers team is pretty loaded anyway. Especially you either trade Baker season 1 or you trade Corral season 2. Either way, you've got most likely a first round pick coming back at some point, and you can always get another running back. We've seen him draft 5 at once, so that's not something he's.
And I wonder how many guys want to go to Carolina where they just won 3 Simbardis in a row. And does that play into anybody's thoughts of now I'm the Panthers, Faz won 3 in a row. This team's really good. I can't live up to that hype. I'm curious. I'm not saying that plays into NYT, but I'm just curious as far as the draft goes, how that plays into that team.
Yeah, that's a good question. I didn't even really think of that, but it does kind of make you think that maybe guys are worried about. I think it was it QP? I can't remember who it was before the last cycle started. Said something about they wanted to win the first division championship with the team, and I think it was QP with the Lions. I'm not sure, but I wonder if that does play into people's kind of thought process when they're picking a team. All right, so after NYT, we've got DW. Now I've got DW taking the Browns because they're there. I talked to DW a decent amount, and he goes back and forth on what team he wants, and it seems like whatever one I decide I want, that's the one he really wanted. So now with the Browns being on the board, the Jets are going to be there too. I've got him taking the Browns.
Shocked. I feel like DW is in a tough position. I feel bad for the guy. He's a nice guy. He's worked really hard to get where he's at. I feel like he wants 2 teams, the Jets or the Browns, and I
Yeah.
do think they both go before him. So it's interesting. You don't have either one going before him, but
Yep.
you chose the Browns over the Jets. I know that's his favorite team, but he has been just Jets, 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 really wanting them. And for that reason, I gave him the Lions because I think they're a lot like the Jets. He's got a good running back in DeAndre Swift. He likes the tight ends. He's got a really good one in Hawkinson. Young rookie receiver who is better than Garrett Wilson potentially because of the speed. Young defense. He's got Hutchinson as opposed to Frank. What's Jermaine Johnson, I believe, is the guy on the Jets.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of similarities as far as the way those rosters are set up. And I could see him just saying, "Hey, I can't get the Jets. Let me get the team that mirrors them the most, and that's the Lions."
Yeah, there's a reason that those two teams were my first picks before the game came out. We found out that EA just completely destroyed the draft class because they are almost identical teams. I feel like the Lions are maybe like 1 year older than the Jets. You've got the 2 good receivers in Williams and Chark, but then the Jets have Elijah Moore. They have Garrett Wilson, the rookie. They both got rookie defensive ends. They both got a young corner. One has Sauce Gardner. The other has Jeff Okudah. The difference is Jets already have a quarterback. Maybe. We'll see how Zach Wilson turns out to be, but Lions have that extra pick so that they can get a quarterback. So in some spots, they're 1 year behind. Some they're a year ahead. You nailed it, though. They're identical teams to me. All right. So the next up is going to be Coop. I don't know what Coop's going to do. Coop is an absolute wild card and could just take Hell, he could take the Saints here. He could take the Texans just to throw everything off. I have no idea what he's going to do, but I think the way it's lining up with Mike being the Ravens, me being the Bengals, DW being the Browns, I think Coop takes this opportunity to take the Steelers, close out the AFC North, and he gets Devin Bush, a guy he traded for last cycle with KC. And I think the Steelers would probably be a good fit for him. He had Mahomes, couldn't pass with Mahomes, might as well throw interceptions with Pickett. And I think he'd like the Steelers with that defense, kind of closer to his Titans from 2 cycles ago.
Yeah, how do you mock a guy who in a mock draft, how do you mock someone that didn't re-sign Tyreek Hill? I mean, who
Exactly.
who knows what he's going to do? But your line of thinking is very similar to mine. You gave him the Steelers because of that division. It's he doesn't really like the super good teams. I mean, he took the Chiefs because they are his team, but he took the Titans, he took the Jags. He kind of liked that youthfulness, I think. But he was on the last mock draft you did, and he said he wanted a team with a good pass rush. So the Steelers fit that. That pass rush is nuts. T.J. Watt's great in this game. I gave him the Commanders though, but you had mentioned that you had him because Mike's in the division. Well, I put him in as the Commanders because I have Mike in that division. I know he likes Mike. He enjoys playing Mike. Their skill level, they'll have good games. So we're thinking along the same lines. We just had Mike in different places. So I've got him going the Commanders. I don't know if there is a better pass rush. He's got some work to do, but I think Coop likes that. I think he wants work to do, and he'll be able to do that with the Commanders.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good team, and I'd be surprised if they even fall that far. I mean,
Yeah.
it feels like this year there's a lot of really good teams, and half a dozen of them, I'm like, I can't believe they fell that far. But I mean, you can absolutely see it happening.
Absolutely.
All right, so next up is double rice no bean, and this one again to close out a division. You've got Woods as the Bills. Actually, this wouldn't close out the division. I'm thinking of your side, but I haven't taken the Patriots. I know he's a Patriots fan. I just think he's not going to fall in love with any team. I think the Packers maybe are a team he really likes, but I have them going to you at 5. So I think he just takes the Patriots here.
Yeah, I like that pick. I mean, I think of all the Patriots fans, he is the only one that has any chance of going there. And he's hinted that he had originally scratched them off his list, fired the Twitter intern, and brought him back on the new list. But I've got him going Chiefs. He has been, again, I've watched too many scrims that I want to admit, but he has been Packers, Packers, Packers. And I think what's going to push him away from that is Aaron Rodgers' age. I think Bean likes these really good passers with the new freeform. And who is the next best thing as far as quarterback goes after the Packers? The Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
And so I think he goes there just because Mahomes and the new passing system. I think he really wants to be able to use that to its fullest. So I've got him at the Chiefs.
Yeah, I can absolutely understand that. And that would be a good pick for him, I think.
Absolutely.
Because with him taking the Patriots, um, I know Dan wanted to. They had talked about him and Dan going to the same division, but I don't think that's going to work out if Bean takes the Patriots because he's going to be in the AFC. So I've got Dan going to the NFC, and with the Packers gone, I've got him taking the Eagles. I think they've got the draft picks. He finished the season with Jalen Hurts on his team in Madden 22, so he knows what he's getting with Jalen Hurts, and Dan's one of those guys that is clearly fine with taking a bad quarterback and at least running a year with him. So I think he's going to take the Eagles, take those draft picks. You've got a defensive lineman in Jordan Davis that already comes with inside stuff that you're probably not going to get on another rookie. So that's the next best thing is to take a guy that's already a rookie with it. And I think he's going to take the Eagles.
Yeah, I like that pick. I think that'd be a good team for Dan. He usually trades away his great players for picks anyway to try something. It really, really was hard for me not to pick the Steelers here. I think they're still his front runner no matter what smokescreen he sends out. I just think the abilities thing, Pickett. I mean, Pickett's not a project; he's an automatic replace. I don't know who you trade on that team to try and replace him. So I went with the Packers. Just because I think that team is really good defensively, which Dan loves to have a nice defense. He'll have that just to start. He likes to trade superstar quarterbacks. He won't have to. I don't
Yeah.
know if he doesn't want the longevity of one, but Rodgers is going to retire quickly, so he'll have that restart. And whether that's Jordan Love or maybe he drafts one, he'll have that opportunity without having to make a trade or that maybe due to the rules he can't make. So I think Dan goes to the Packers, and I think that's a really scary destination for someone like Dan.
Yeah, I could see him definitely going with the Packers. Um, and next up, Dan doesn't follow Bean, but I have Doink following Bean and taking the Jets. And then that closes out the AFC East with 2/3 of the primer posse going to the AFC East. It's a young team. You got a quarterback in Zach Wilson that can be developed. He's got the throw power. We saw Doink take what was it, Brian Turner, all cycle in Tampa after he lost Brady and just stuck with him until the end. And I think he'll do the same thing this time, maybe starting out a little better with Wilson. And then that team is super young, kind of the opposite of what he had in Tampa, where you had an already solid team. Now he's going to have a team that he's got to kind of develop a little bit.
Yeah, so man, we did not do these lists together. We did these completely independently, but we're on the same wavelength. I got him following Bean as well, but of course I gave Bean the Chiefs, so I'm going to give Doink the Chargers. A couple of reasons here. I think Doink likes really good teams. We saw him take the Bucks, and I think he likes really good teams. And geez, I don't know if there is a better team than the Chargers, maybe the Bills, but they're off the board. He gets to play with Bean, which again I do think is what he wants to do. I also think Doink doesn't care about hurting feelings, and even though QP's in a couple of picks, I don't think he cares, and he takes the Chargers 2 spots in front of QP.
Yeah, there's a couple guys in the league that I think would take it just because it would hurt some feelings. I don't know if he's quite that far over the line, but he's definitely one that I don't think cares. Kind of along the lines of NYT saying he worked that hard to get where he is. He's going to take what team he wants. I think
Right?
Doink would see it the same way. All right, so after Doink, then we've got Faz picking. He was the loser of the coin toss. This to me another no-brainer. If Prime goes Colts, I think Faz takes the Jaguars. Favorite team, gets to follow Prime. He said it the whole time. I wouldn't be surprised at all if he takes the Jaguars here.
Yeah, I'm the same way. He if Prime goes Colts and Faz doesn't take the Jaguars, he's never going to hear the end of that narrative. And I think Faz goes there. It's his favorite team. Trevor Lawrence is superstar. That's kind of a help. One dev bump and he could be X factor. Although I
Don't
don't
get it
know his
too soon.
overall, so yeah, I don't know if that's overall, so I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But I've got him going Jags. I don't think he really cares about the ability revelation or any of that. I think he's going to go there, and it's going to be a Prime and Faz
Yeah,
rivalry for the cycle.
I think you're right. I think that was pretty much set from the beginning. All right, so after Faz is QP, and I've got QP. I've actually got him passing on the Chargers to take the Cardinals and go to the NFC, where it's pretty much just him and Dan out of the Big Five.
Yeah, I've got him going to the Bengals. It's crazy for me to think that the Bengals have fallen this far. Like you mentioned earlier, it's crazy to see some of these teams down here, but he doesn't get the Chargers. Doink takes them, but the Bengals are the next best thing, and I think he looks at that as, they've got a big three. Burrow's a really nice quarterback. He's actually better than Herbert, I think, in this game because I think Herbert's only superstar, and Burrow's got great abilities. He can. Kind of wreak havoc maybe on Doink a little bit, being in the AFC as if he wants to pay him back for the Chargers. So I've got him going to Cincy.
Yeah, I could see that. They do have a team that I think would really fit him well. I mean, really, I think the Bengals would fit just about anybody well, but I could definitely see him going to Cincy. In that scenario, though, that leaves Dan all alone in the NFC, which may be exactly what he would like.
Yeah, and Arizona's got the speed. He torched me with Hollywood Brown a few times. Now he could reunite with him. So I like the Arizona pick. I didn't really think about that, but that's a sneaky spot, especially if he does want to balance out the conferences a little bit. That wouldn't, and he could have DeAndre Hopkins superstar in a year. So that'd be a good little
Yep.
team for him.
And Hopkins, even though he doesn't start superstar, he starts a high enough overall that he's going to unlock the better abilities as opposed
Exactly.
to a guy you draft. So,
Yep.
uh, which also could make Hopkins a hell of a trade piece, with knowing that he has the ability
Very
to do
true.
that. All right, so next up we got Clink. I've got Clink taking the Commanders. I initially thought he'll probably take the Falcons, because they got that good user, but the Commanders have a second-year guy that's just as good of a user in Jamin Davis. He's like 90 speed. I forget what his change of direction is. It might not be quite as high as the guy in the Falcons, but that front four is a lot better than the Falcons. And then your offense has pieces. You just need a quarterback. That's really the only thing they need, and then kind of maintain that defense. And I think the Commanders would be a perfect team for Klink, especially goes to the NFC, gets a really good team. I think this could be the year he kind of makes that jump to that next level and gets to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I like that pick. I mean, the Commanders aren't there for me on my list, but I like that pick. I agree with you. I think Klink is the guy to watch as far as making that next step. I did mock him to the Falcons. I think he got a taste of, that decent team that you can build up in the Lions, and I think the Falcons kind of fit that mold. Drake London, I believe, is star. I think Ridley's still going to be in this game. Obviously, Kyle Pitts. He's got Ritter, whether he wants to keep him or move on. He's got the great user that you mentioned. Klink is a top user in the game. You've got AJ Terrell. You've got the name's escaping me. Grady Jarrett. So I think that team molds well for him for who's left. As far as they're not too good, but they've got pieces and they've got pieces that fit him.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so after Klink, we've got Meats. I've got Meats taking the 49ers. This just kind of made sense for me. It's a fast quarterback. You can't get escape artist, but you can at least get a guy that's got some speed. And then, I mean, pass rush is the name of the game this year, and very few teams, especially left on the board at this point, are going to have better pass rush than the 49ers. That's young. You've got a young quarterback already. You've got superstar receivers. That's a ready-made team, and I think he goes to the 49ers.
Yeah, in my original mock, when I first put this together, I had him taking the Panthers, and then I looked at the next pick, and it's Dom. And with Dom leaning heavily to the Saints, I don't think Meats wants that smoke again. Dom pretty much dominated him. Well, no, I'm not gonna say pretty much. Scratch that. He did dominate
Yep.
Meats at it for the mostly of the cycle. So I think Meats is looking. What team is in a division where I think I can do well? If QP takes the Cardinals, I don't think he takes the Niners, but I don't have QP going Cardinals, so I've got him as the Niners. Trey Lance has the mobility. He's got the defensive line with Bosa. He's had some scrims with them. He's looked good. I think he goes Niners. I'm right on board with you.
Yeah, it just seems like a great fit, um, especially if the NFC looks like it may be a little weaker, then maybe he can slide into one of those playoff spots and make some noise.
Absolutely. Yep.
All right, so next up is Dom. In both our mocks, we've got him getting there with the Saints. I've got him taking the Saints. I know he hates that his pick on these mock drafts is so quick because the Saints are it, but I I just think they fall here. I don't think anybody is really in love with the Saints before this, and I think anybody that maybe would probably let them fall. So I think he gets his Saints.
Yeah, the Saints are better than I thought they were when I first saw the ratings, and I was kind of trashing them a bit in chat, but they're not so good like the Chargers. I think the Chargers are so good. Someone may say, I don't care about QP, like the guy, but I'm taking them. They're so good. I don't think the Saints are quite that good. My bold prediction on Total Access was that someone took the Saints before Dom, so I'm trying to make sure that I don't catch a whole lot of flack for some bad juju. So I've got the Saints falling to him here on
There
this
you go.
mock.
Yeah, I think the thing with the Saints is there's just not. They don't have like that Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Jamar Chase, or they just don't have that stud guy. I mean, you got Kamara, he's good, but I feel like he doesn't get talked about nearly as much as some of these other guys, and maybe he's not flashy enough. There's nobody really super flashy on the defense. I like Lattimore, and you got Tyrann Mathieu now, but for some reason the Saints just don't seem like a team to get really excited about. But when you look at them, they are like extremely solid.
Yeah, that's my feeling exactly. They got age, they got youth, but I just can't. I mean, Olave is going to be great, but I just can't get excited about them. That's a good way to
Yeah.
put it.
All right, so after Demus, we've got Field, and for me, this was an easy pick. I think Field, low maintenance team that's ready to go, and if there's a really good quarterback, that's a solid plus. So I've got him taking the Chargers. He gets Herbert. He gets two superstar receivers, superstar running back, probably the best defensive line in the game, maybe outside of Washington. This is a ready-made team. You just turn on the game and play. You don't even have to worry about off-season or anything, other than you have to sign Derwin James because apparently the computer does not do that. But I think the Chargers are a perfect fit.
Yeah, I like that. We kind of, again, we're right on the same line. I think he wants a ready-made team. Fields not shy about taking a good team. I think he got a taste of Brady last cycle, and I think he wants him again, and I think he goes to Bucks. Knowing that he's going to retire, I don't think Field really cares. Um, I do think Dermot James got a new contract in real life, so maybe he gets lucky if they add it to the game. But I am a little bit worried about Field getting a really good team because
Yeah.
he's not good at re-signing his players, and who knows who's going to drop into free agency. But again, we're on the same wavelength, Bomber. We just got different teams falling. I got the Bucks, you got the Chargers. Same reason, and I think I hope he gets a good team with a good quarterback. Field can sling it, and I like to watch his streams.
Yeah, I mean, even just looking at what's left on the board, there's going to be good teams there. I think anyway, and I think he'll get one of them. But yeah, it is kind of dangerous because free agency could be loaded. All right, so that's going to bring us to Paulie and another one of those wow how'd they fall moments. But I've got Paulie taking the Chiefs. Um, I I would have thought maybe he'd stay in the NFC. Maybe he sees that as an easier road, but the Chiefs, I think, maybe make up for a little bit of that tougher road. He's talked about not having a superstar quarterback, how he was the only one rolling out there with a normal guy in Daniel Jones. Now you get possibly the one or two best quarterback in the game. You get the Chiefs. You got a division that's, what is it? I've got Field, and right now then it's the Broncos and the Raiders, whoever gets them. But you have the best team in the division, maybe second best team next to the Chargers, but should be able to beat Field most games, and I think they'd be just too much to pass up for him.
Yeah, I struggled with Paulie because the way I have it, I have four of the big five in the AFC, and Paulie's not going to go to the AFC if that happens. He will not touch it. He will not even think about it.
Yeah.
So I started looking in the NFC, and I was like, okay, where's the weak division? Because that's what Paulie's going to do. He's going to look for the division that's weakest. He can win it, and he's going to go to it. There really isn't one except for the NFC East, but the best team remaining is the Cowboys, and based on who picks after him now. Paulie's probably not going. He's in that field of I don't care, but he took Jadeveon Clowney from Coop that one
Yep.
time. But I think he sees Clink as the Falcons in my mock and says, and they've had their battles in chat, and I think he says, you know what? Forget Dom, forget Clink. I'm coming after Clink, and I'm going to prove that I'm the man. And he takes the Panthers.
Okay, I like it. I do think that he would take the Cowboys. I think he would probably say he fell asleep and Prime just auto assign the Cowboys or
Yep.
something. But I
Well,
think
that
he
puts
would
him in
take
a
it.
division with Mike and Coop, and I think that's probably the weakest division that's available right now
Yeah.
for him. So I could see it.
Yeah, and I don't see him going back to the Giants.
No.
That seems really unlikely, especially not having any ties to the Giants.
Yes.
So next up, we got Grams, and this was easy. Grams to the Cowboys. Somehow he drops in the draft order, and the Cowboys drop right along with him.
Yeah, the Cowboys are a team I can't quite assess. I think your ability revelation may prop them up a little bit because they've got the abilities with Dak, Parsons, Diggs. CeeDee Lamb is a star, but he's high overall. But I've got him dropping to Grams again. It's kind of one of those things where I want to see it because he's always the Cowboys, and I hope he gets them. So that's where I'm going.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they fall. It looks like Diggs doesn't start with Acrobat, so if Prime has to reroll abilities, he may not get Acrobat.
Huge.
Yeah, that would be pretty big. So far, it looks like he doesn't get it, because it looks like abilities are gonna have to be rerolled. But that's a gamble. All right, so next up we got two step. Every time we do a draft, he says the same thing that I say the same thing that I have no idea. Well, that's because two step is in chat for like 10 minutes at 4:30 in the morning. And then he'll pop in later and post a picture of a Boston butt that's about to go in the smoker. Never once says anything about a team. So I've got him taking the Bucks. I think they're the best team left, and it would be the least amount of work that you'd have to put in the off season or with trades. And I think the Bucks will be the team he goes with.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I mean, I can't get a read on TTS. I think I don't know, maybe his turn comes up and he looks at ESPN and just picks a team, or I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know the methodology. So I went Broncos. I obviously I don't have the Bucks left, but I feel like the Broncos, Russell Wilson, they've got good receivers. I think he got a taste to Justin Jefferson, and I'm sure he liked that. Now he's got three or four really good receivers, depending on how you view Patrick and Hamler, and good fast tight end, decent defense. He doesn't really have to do much. And I don't think he cares about his division. I don't think he cares about his conference. I don't think he cares about anything. And so he's going to take the Broncos.
All right. So next up is going to be Monty then, and I've got Monty taking the Vikings. There's been talk about the Vikings and whether they're good, whether they're bad. The Vikings remind me a little bit of the Bengals last season, where you had Burrow, who was just a weak-armed quarterback, didn't have superstar or anything. Kind of pretty comparable to Kirk Cousins, kind of weak-armed but accurate. And then you've got Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. You've got Mixon and Cook. The offense just kind of reminds me of the Bengals that he had, and he turned them into a bunch of X factors and superstars. And then you pair that with the defense. You got Danielle Hunter, you've got Zadarius Smith. Monty loves to user blitz. It just kind of seems like a good fit for me. Him going to the Vikings.
Yeah, I think that's a good landing spot for Monty because he can pass, and Justin Jefferson is an animal, as I discovered today when I looked at his abilities. But I think this is a big moment in the team draft because Monty and Dump have been at each other's throats and talked about joining each other's divisions. So when I looked at available teams, I didn't just look at who would be a good fit for Monty, but what divisions aren't full yet, and what division would Monty not fill. Um, Obviously, if you took the Vikings, the Bears are there, but Dump said I'm not going to take a team that's bad just to join your division. So I went with the Rams. Kind of a similar reasoning as you. He's got the good quarterback. I don't know for how long, but Cooper Kupp. He's got Tutu Atwell can be a good receiver, 90 speed tight end. Got a good defense with Donald and Ramsey leading the way, and it allows Dump to join that division. I know we'll get to him in a little bit, and I think this will be interesting. Because Monty controls whether they're in the same division.
Yep.
What does Monty do? So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be crazy to pick based on how you can close it out and make sure Dump can't follow you. I think he'll actually do the opposite and leave a spot for Dump. Whether or not it stays open, there's 2 picks in between, but it's very possible it could.
Well, if he takes the Vikings, the Bears are there, and Monty could say, "I didn't chicken out."
That's true.
So that's very possible that he could do what you're saying. It's very possible.
Yeah, he could force his hand. So
Yep.
I've got Noel picking next. We've got Noel and Colt in between before Dump picks, and I've got Noel taking the Broncos. He's said it before that the Broncos would be a team high on his list. Whether or not he wants to admit it, he needs a quarterback that's really good, and they give him Russell Wilson, who's going to give him at least a few years that he can kind of have success with, and maybe bring somebody along while he's using Russell Wilson. Javonte Williams can be his bruiser running back that he needs to have a bunch of receivers like you just talked about with two-step, and how the Broncos team is really good. Superstar corner in Surtain. I just think that's a really good fit for him, and he seems to really like them as well.
Yeah, I like your pick. Noel and Colt. I have to see them both in the same room to not believe they're not the same person. And Colt was the Broncos last year, so I think he enjoyed that. He didn't have a whole lot of success, but I think he liked the team. So Broncos are gone in my draft, but so I gave him the Raiders. A lot of same reasons. He's got a quarterback. He's got maybe the best receiver in the game as far as attributes wise, and Devontae Adams or overall. Hunter Renfro is going to be a good slot guy. Darren Waller. I mean, I don't think there is an equal at tight end. That defense is really good. So I'm on the same lines as you again, but I don't have the Broncos available, so I gave him the Raiders.
All right, so then that means the next one is Colt, and I've actually got him taking the Raiders. I've got Colt following Noel. They can play together and use their halfbacks and tight ends in the passing game against each other. And Colt, though, that means he would be taking the Raiders right before RD, 2 spots ahead of him. I don't think Colt really cares about that, and I think he would take them if they're there.
Yeah, I think you would too. Yeah, they both love the tight end, and those are, the Broncos don't have Darren Waller, but Albert O, we'll just call him, is really good. But I've got him going to the Cardinals. It's crazy the difference a cycle makes.
Yep.
Cardinals were like the best team. They probably go number 1 if Prime's not up there. But yeah, I've got him taking him. I mean, no escape artist on Kyler Murray. He's not even X Factor, gunslinger nerf. He's not what he used to be, but I mean, he's still a great quarterback. And if you're picking this low and you get Kyler Murray falling into your lap, that's going to be a hard thing to pass up. And I think Colt does end up going there. All that speed's just too much to pass up.
Oh yeah, I could definitely see that. And then he gets Isaiah Simmons and Buda Baker. I mean, the defense is still pretty good there. So then that leaves our big pick here and dump. I've got him following Monty, but I've still got the Lions available, and I have him taking the Lions here. Um, we've talked about the Lions, good young team that you can develop. You just need to play with them and have success, and they'll become good. Um, and I've got him taking them. He gets into Monty's division, and he's not the Bears, and that was the big thing.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I have him in a different division. It'd be crazy if the Lions fell this far. Speaking
Yeah,
of teams, but I could see it happening, especially with the ability change. But I've got him going the Seahawks. He's thrown around the Falcons. He's thrown around the Vikings. He's thrown around the Giants, I believe. None of those teams have a quarterback, so neither do the Seahawks. They've got some draft capital. They've got DK Metcalf. I don't know how you don't get excited about that. Noah Fant. They just traded for Arcega Whiteside, who breaking news to me was converted to a tight end. He's
yeah,
89 speed. Um, Kenneth Walker's a good running back, and he joins Monty's division. I think the Seahawks are a nice little fit for Dump, actually, maybe one of the better fits in the league. And he can find a quarterback and really do something.
absolutely. And I think he'd be happy if they fell there. Um, so next is RD, and without the Raiders on the board, and he can't go to the AFC West to follow Colt for taking his Raiders. I've got him taking the Titans and joining Faz and Prime in the AFC South with Derrick Henry. Everybody knows that RD likes to run the ball. Derrick Henry, probably one of the best running backs in the game. So I think this is a perfect fit, and he's not afraid to chase, the top guys because he is one of the top guys.
Yep, I'm in the same way. There's a lot of runners in this league, and I mean people that will run from competition, and RD's the exact opposite. The guy runs toward it. So I've got him taking the Titans, and I wouldn't be surprised if he took the Titans no matter who is there. He could pick top 10 and he might take the Titans just because of who's in that division. And he could troll Faz. RD loves to troll. He could troll Faz with Derrick Henry. Knows that he hates the running game. He's got Malik Wilson. I think even though I can't do anything with Malik Wilson, I think RD could figure it out. Pretty decent defense. He's got a good safety in Bayard, and I think he could probably find a safety to use or opposite him. I think it's a good fit actually, and he'll love the competition.
Yep, two good corners there in Fulton and Farley, and then I think he does that. I think he trades Tannehill to Tiny and uses Malik Willis.
Yep.
So after RD, then we've got QB. I've got QB taking the Falcons here, and I think he's just absolutely ecstatic about it. He gets Kyle Pitts, he gets a quarterback in Ritter, some user on defense. He's got good corners. The team needs a little bit, but I think he's really happy if he gets the Falcons here.
Yeah, I've got him going to the Vikings. I think QB is a little bit like me, and that he, at this point, especially this far in the draft, he's going to start looking at the divisions really hard and say, okay, what divisions have guys I want to play? I could see him going Giants here because I have Graham's, Mike, and Coop in that division, and I think he would enjoy that. But I went with the Vikings just because I think they're maybe better in his eyes because they've got the better talent now. Maybe not for the future, but for the now. He'd be in a division with Dan, who, yeah, is a little bit more competitive than the others. I've got DW in that division. But I don't think he would shy away from those two guys, so I've got him going Vikings.
All right. So next up, after QB, we've got Gouda. I've got Gouda taking the Bears. QP was actually saying that he had heard Gouda wanted the Bears, and I think with not many teams available, I think he ends up taking the Bears.
Speaking of good teams falling, here's another one, and I think I've got Gouda going to the Steelers. I think he follows his brother because I've got QP going to the Bengals. I think that would be a fun little rivalry. I don't know how much of a rivalry it'd be. I think QP probably beat him down, but it would be a fun rivalry with his post-game conferences and the way they interact in chat. They seem to have a good relationship. I think that'd be fun. I think the Steelers are really good. I think that's a landing spot for QB too. So honestly, if QB goes Steelers, I'd flip these two, and I got Gouda taking the Vikings. So interesting little situation there for me, but I think it plays out. He gets the Steelers, follows QP.
Yeah, I didn't even see the QP connection. Didn't even think of that. But at the Cardinals, I could have given go to the Rams or the Seahawks, but I'll let him stick with the Bears on mine. And then I have Tiny going to the Seahawks. I think this is a good redemption story. Tiny can go to the Seahawks and this time maybe doesn't trade DK Metcalf for nothing, um, mostly because he can't. But I think he gets the Seahawks and gets a little redemption. I'm sure he'll still try to trade for Bobby Okereke.
Of course, he can trade Tyler Lockett for that or something. But yeah, I love that. That would be a great moment in the chat if he does take the Seahawks just for that narrative alone. But I've got to go in the Giants. I think that's actually a very underrated team, even though I still haven't fallen to the bottom four. I think they're underrated with a lot of young talent. Of course, the ability revelation does change things a lot since they're all lower overall. But who knows how that will transpire? He gets into a Weenie Hut division that would be him, Coop, Mike, and who am I missing there? It'd be
Uh,
him. It would be him, Mike, Coop, and
Grams.
Grams. That's right. Yes, thank you.
Yep.
So that's a Weenie Hut. He could win that. Um, I don't know if Tiny looks for that, but if he's picking this low and he's got an option to go to a division that he could potentially win with a team that I do think Tiny has his eyes on, especially with the four teams remaining, that's probably the best one. I think he goes Giants.
All right. So then next up we've got Biz, the new guy. Didn't really get too much of a feel for him, but I know just from talking to guys that played with him in primary, he likes his running back. Um, and with the Giants, the Rams, and the Texans, I think Saquon Barkley stands out as by far the best running back of the trio, and I think I've got him going to the Giants.
Yeah, I like that. I think I've heard him talk about speed a lot. Obviously, the Giants aren't on my
Yep.
board, but I like that with Tony. I think it's Shepard's the fast one or Slayton, one of the two. Obviously, Barkley's fast, but I got him going to the Bears. Best QB left on the board with Justin Fields. Mooney's fast. Jones is fast. Roquan's going to be there. That sounds like in real life. He's going to be there at least for when we start. So I think he goes Bears just because Fields and there's some speed, which he's talked about really liking.
All right. I mean, that makes sense. And then we've got two picks left. I'm going to unveil both of them for us since it's just about the same two teams. But I've got KJ taking the Rams because they're not the Texans, and I have Fig taking the Texans because he's not KJ, so he's picking dead last, and they just fall to him.
Yeah, I've got KJ as the Pats. I think he looks at that division and just, I mean, the team's probably better for him, but I think he looks at Fens and Woods and you, and I think he just would be like, oh, that'd be fun. I know he was just in that division, but hey, I wouldn't mind playing those guys. And then I've got Figs with the Texans. I think most people probably mock them last. I don't think they're the last team, but with Prime and Faz there. I mean, the Titans post blip fell to 30 to being with just Prime in the division. You throw Faz in there, and those Texans are dropping like a rock, and the Titans too. So I've got him going Texans.
Yeah,
Sorry, Fig.
I think the Texans are just. I think they're the worst team. I think you still need a quarterback. I think you have no running back. You've got some decent weapons at receiver. You've got some corners, maybe a safety or two, but everything above that is awful. You do have a what is his name? Is it Robinson, the middle linebacker?
Christian Harris,
Christian
the
Harris.
ninth, like
That's
the
it.
yeah.
I'm thinking, yeah, Christian Harris. So he'll be a good guy as long as they don't actually cut him in real life. But as long as he makes the team and he stays on the roster, he'll be good. You just need so much there. I think what's going to happen is even though you have all those picks, you're going to run out of the picks and then figure out you still have a really bad team. So they just have too many needs and not enough picks.
Yeah, and Bomber, they've got talent. They got, Petrie's a young
Yep.
rookie, star dev, free safety, fast. They've got Davis Mills. If you really want to work with him and you can manage the throw power, he's star and young. Stingley, star and young. But they're all low overall. So, with this new ability
Yep.
thing, if there's nothing to accommodate for that, they're all going to be superstar with bad ability. So that's no fun.
Yeah, you'll have a lot of superstars with recuperation
Yeah,
and closer, which doesn't matter if you're not an X factor anyway. So,
exactly.
um, yeah, I think it's unfortunate that Fig is going to be the Texans, and he's a guy that quit in the middle of the cycle because he was getting beat really bad and didn't like it. It's going to be a long cycle if that's still a problem for him because the Texans are bad, and then you're in a division with Faz, RD, and Prime.
Yeah, he won't win. He'll be like Finn's pre-blip. He's not going to win a division game the
Yeah,
whole cycle.
I'd be
That's my
surprised.
guarantee.
So So that's it. 1 to 32. We've done another mock draft after we found out the abilities are awful, and we'll see. We're 12 days away from the team draft, so anything could happen. But I'm sure we'll mock draft it again 10 or 12 times before then. So thanks for being on, Matt, and hopefully we get some of these right. I feel pretty good about this one. I think we've got a lot of guys going to places where it makes sense.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I have to say the one pick that I'm most unsure about is me. So that's not too bad, or it is bad. One of the however you want to look at it.
Yeah. Well, Ravens could be a good pick. I still think it's going to be the Packers, but we still have plenty of time to test out these teams and mess around with them. So I'm sure a lot of people's minds are going to change when they get a hold of the game. Sounds like half the league hasn't even played much. So,
or at least they're saying they haven't played.
That's true,
I don't
too.
know what to believe.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's been the mock draft, and thanks for being on. And have a good night.